In the news this week, the Institute explains why Christians could be caught by an upcoming extremism bill, a pro-life expert responds to calls to extend the legal limit on embryo experimentation, and the owners of Asher's Baking Company pray for justice ahead of their appeal. Hello and welcome to this week's news bulletin from the Christian Institute. Christians preaching the gospel could be caught by an upcoming extremism bill, the Christian Institute has warned. Critics have consistently said the government's plans to counter extremism risk criminalising people for simply standing up for their beliefs. Simon Calvert, the Institute's Deputy Director for Public Affairs, said the government's definitions were open to abuse.
The government talks about tackling extremism and stopping people promoting hatred. Now, if those terms had their ordinary meaning, of course Christians would have nothing to worry about. But sadly, they don't have their ordinary meaning because people misuse the term extremism to label Christians. They falsely accuse Christians of promoting hatred. So if you put those concepts in a statute, how can you be sure they won't be misused to target innocent Christians, just doing things like promoting the gospel? In fact, a former head of MI5 himself has given harmless evangelical street preachers, as he calls them, as an example of exactly the kind of person who might find themselves on the wrong end of an extremism disruption order.
The new bill is set to be announced in the Queen's speech later this month. While Downing Street said it would not speculate about the Queen's speech, a Home Office source said, "Getting agreement about the thresholds for what constitutes extremism and what needs to be protected as free speech is not going to be easy or straightforward." Scientists have called for the legal limit on embryo experimentation to be extended in a move which threatens to intensify attacks on the unborn. A team at Cambridge University kept human embryos alive in a laboratory for 13 days, 1 day short of the legal limit. In response to their research, leading scientists have suggested that the limit should be extended to allow further experimentation at later stages of development. The NUFFIELD Council on Bioethics will hold a meeting later in the year to discuss a change in the law. Responding to the news, pro-life campaigner Josephine Quintavalle said the only place for a human embryo is in its mother's womb.
There's only one place for the human embryo, and that is in the mother's womb. Embryos should not be in the freezer, they should not be on the benches of experimental scientists. That is exactly where the human embryo should be, in its mother's womb, no ifs or buts.
To learn more about embryo experimentation and other ethical issues, visit the resources page on our website. Children as young as 3 are being referred to a clinic for transsexual treatment, according to the BBC. The Victoria Derbyshire programme highlighted that in the past year, 3 preschool children have been referred to the Gender Identity Development Service. They were among 167 children under the age of 10 to have been referred over the last 12 months. Deputy Director for Public Affairs at the Christian Institute, Simon Calvert, said the news proves that this is to do with adult political ambitions and not with what is best for children. What we will see in years to come are young adults whose lives have been ruined because their parents and doctors who should have known better told them they needed to transition gender when they were just going through a childhood phase. And finally, the MacArthur family have told how they are praying for justice ahead of their upcoming appeal hearing. Asher's Baking Company goes before the Court of Appeal in Belfast on Monday the 9th of May in a case backed by the Christian Institute. They are attempting to overturn a decision made last year by the County Court which found Asher's had broken discrimination laws covering sexual orientation, religious belief and political opinion. The MacArthurs had refused to fulfil an order to make a cake with a slogan supporting same-sex marriage because it conflicted with their Christian beliefs. General Manager Daniel MacArthur said while they had faced challenges, they had found strength in the Bible. It has been a long and difficult road, but we have been sustained every step of the way by the Word of God and by the many thousands of people who have supported us. As a family, we are simply hoping and praying for a just outcome so that our ordeal in court next week will be our last. Well, that's all for this week. For regular updates and information on all of our stories, plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.